Welcome back. Have you ever stared at a perfectly crystal clear swimming pool and thought, wow, how does it actually stay that way? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it is definitely not magic. It is a highly meticulous, really fascinating multi-step process. Today, we're doing a unique ride-along with a professional pool technician to break down their exact weekly maintenance routine in this explainer. By the end of this, you're going to see exactly what goes into keeping that water pristine, straight from the routine of a working pro.
So, here's our roadmap for today's clean. 1. Prep and surface cleaning. 2. Vacuuming the pool floor. 3. Backwashing the filtration system. And finally, 4. Testing and balancing chemistry. We'll be covering the whole shebang, from the big, visible debris right down to the invisible microtasks of chemical balancing. Let's dive in.
Phase 1. Prep and surface cleaning.
All right, so our pro arrives at the pool, and it's currently covered with a solar roller and a bubble cover. The very first task? Uncover the pool. But, it actually requires a bit of finesse. You can't just yank the thing off. You have to carefully roll off that bubble cover, and, this is key, you've got to lift the leading edge so it doesn't get snagged or torn on the pool steps. Once that cover is safely rolled up and out of the way, it's time to check the skimmer. The technician pops the lid off, pulls the basket out, and, yep, usually there's some debris in there, maybe a leftover, partially dissolved chlorine tablet from last week. The pro simply empties that basket right over the wall into the bush to clear it out.
Now here is an absolutely crucial pro tip to remember. Always net the surface before you vacuum. I know, it might seem like there really isn't much floating on top, maybe just a couple of leaves, but our technician insists on this quick surface netting first. Why? Well, if you skip it, those stray leaves are going to get sucked up and stuck in the vacuum hose later. And believe me, that completely ruins your workflow. It's just a tiny prep step, but it saves a massive headache down the line.
Moving right along to Phase 2. Vacuuming the pool floor.
Okay, before the deep clean actually starts, the equipment has to be primed perfectly. First up, our pro attaches this black FlexiVac head to an adjustable pole and just rests it against the pool wall. Second, and pay attention because this is absolutely vital, they stretch the vacuum hose all the way out across the pool to ensure there are zero kinks. Then they slowly sink the hose into the water, hand over hand. This literally pushes all the air out of the hose, filling it with water until you see it bubble out the top. Only then, for step 3, do they actually plug that hose into the skimmer suction hole down at the bottom. So you might be wondering, why go through all that trouble for step 2? Well, it is all about avoiding a deprime. A deprime is basically when air gets into the filtration system and just completely kills the pump suction. If you were to lazily plug an empty, air-filled hose directly into the skimmer, the pump tries to suck all that air out and bam, instantly deprimes the whole system. By manually filling the hose with water first, our technician guarantees a smooth, continuous suction.
With the hose properly primed and plugged in, we get to the really satisfying part. The technician extends the pole using this little union part in the middle, tightening it down to get the exact right length. Then they systematically hover the FlexiVac head right over the liner. And this particular pool has a really cool tile effect pattern on the bottom. You can literally see the black Flexi head bending and contouring to the floor, sucking up dirt from those tight corners and grabbing all those small sunken leaves until the entire bottom is just completely spotless. All right, the visible pool is looking great, so we transition over to the plant room for Phase 3, backwashing the filtration system. This is the mechanical heart of the whole routine. Backwashing is essentially reversing the flow of water, running it backward through the filter to aggressively flush out all the dirt and gunk the system has trapped over the past week. To do this, our technician rolls out a long, flat waste hose. And here's a super practical detail. They make absolutely sure to aim this hose directly toward a nearby drain, because honestly, if they don't, they are going to completely flood the client's garden with hundreds of gallons of filthy pool water. No thanks.
And this part brilliantly illustrates the precision of a professional routine. 90 seconds. That is the exact standard amount of time the technician runs the system on the backwash setting. If you watch the water shooting out of that flat hose, it starts off looking incredibly dirty and murky, but right around that 90-second mark, it just slowly clears up completely.
But wait, you can't just stop there. Immediately after that 90-second backwash, the technician turns the pump off, switches the setting over to rinse, and runs it for just 10 to 15 seconds. This quick little rinse is essential. It settles the sand inside the filter back down into its proper, compact place before the system gets switched back to its normal filtering mode. The final mechanical steps happen right at the pump itself. The pro undoes the pump lid to get to the pump basket, but watch closely, here's a critical step. They immediately shut the skimmer valve.
This is to stop any water currently in the pipes from falling back into the pool, which makes sure the system primes up nice and easy when it's turned back on. With the water held in place, they empty the pump basket, pulling out all the junk they just vacuumed up. Bits of wood, twigs, the last of those leaves. If they skip this, those leaves will get sucked into the back of the pump and completely jam the impeller. Once it's all cleared out, they open the main drain and skimmer valves back up, fire the filter back up, and watch as any tiny remaining air bubbles get forced out through the return jets in the pool.
Filter is clean. Now we arrive at Phase 4, testing and balancing chemistry. This is the invisible science that actually makes the water safe to swim in. Our pro reaches a little deeper into the pool to grab a really good water sample for the test tab pots. They are checking two primary metrics side by side here. On the left side of the tester, they use phenol red to check the pH levels. On the right, they drop in DPD tablets to check the chlorine. The goal? Match the color of the reacted water with the middle color painted on the test pot. They pop the lid on, give it a little shake, and check the results. For this specific visit, the pH is looking fantastic at right around 7.4. The chlorine is a little bit low, sitting at about 2.0. But, as the pro points out, seeing any pink color show up at all is actually a great sign. It confirms there is indeed active chlorine working in the water.
To correct that slightly low chlorine and protect the pool for the coming week, it is time to add the chemicals. Now, the technician doesn't just toss bare tablets in. Instead, they take a couple of chlorine tablets, leave them inside their plastic packets, but just tear the top open slightly. They drop these partially opened packets directly into the skimmer. This little trick allows the chlorine to dissolve slowly and steadily over the entire week rather than all at once. Next up, they grab their algaecide, which is what prevents that dreaded green growth. Using this incredibly handy little measuring cup built right into the side of the bottle, they measure out about 1/2 inch to 1 inch of liquid, adjusting slightly based on the size of the pool, and pour it right on in.
And just like that, the vacuum hose is packed away, the chemicals are perfectly dialed in, the water is gleaming, and that bubble cover is carefully rolled right back over the surface to trap the heat. It is a highly satisfying routine, wrapped up perfectly with the creator's signature sign-off, "Follow your boy for the pool work." It's just a great stamp of pride on a meticulous job well done.
So, next time you look at a crystal clear pool, will you see just a bunch of water? Or will you see the precise 4-step mechanical and chemical symphony that actually makes it possible? From the delicate unrolling of the cover to the fight against deep priming, that exact 90-second flush of the filter, and the precise drops of phenol red, it is such a fascinating structured discipline. Thank you so much